So when it comes to Nvidia, there's quite a few lies that are told around a bunch of different YouTube videos, whether that's quite literally anybody. It could be one of your most trusted, YouTube channels that you go to for delay, or it could be, some of the smaller channels. Pretty much everybody has the same lie, and it's about if the Nvidia control panel actually changes your FPS. And I'm gonna quickly tell you everything you need to know about the Nvidia control panel and what it really does. So a lot of people are mistaken, and they think Nvidia control panel, which is what I'm about to pull up right now, actually will change your FPS. And the way this works is it doesn't. The real truth is this will not change your FPS, not even in the slightest. What this is mainly used for is pretty much delay. That's why I talk about it in all my videos. You can get really good delay changing NVIDIA settings, but you'll never get better FPS no matter what you do, unless you're changing something like your resolution, which might help a little bit, but that's just common. I mean, you change the resolution, there's less pixels on the screen, less things being, loaded in, whatever you want to call it. Therefore, your FPS will obviously have an increase. But other than that, no matter how many settings you change in here, you will never get better FPS. But the one thing you will get is better delay. So if you want good delay, these are the best settings right here for no delay. But I'm going to show you a way to actually get lower FPS using Nvidia. And that's actually something I have been using. I usually run around, while not recording, I usually run around 600 FPS. Now, while recording, I'm getting about the same. And this is after doing the method. So I get around 600 FPS while recording now, instead of getting around 450 to 500. I'm on plus 100 FPS right now. While not recording, I'm 7, 8, 900 sometimes, right? Because I am recording at the highest quality. But that's, all because a few things. Well, my PC is fully tweaked, which if you haven't seen any of my other videos, make sure you check them out. I go over every optimization I do on my PC, but also NVIDIA Profile Inspector. So you actually need Fortnite closed for the settings to take place, but when you go into NVIDIA Profile Inspector, this is one of the only things that will actually help your FPS, because the control panel, once again, does nothing for you, like I said before. But when you open up NVIDIA Profile Inspector, which the download will be linked in the description, you, at the very top left, search up Fortnite, and you click enter. Once you click enter, this little thing at the top will be green. That's how you know it's working, and these settings right here are what you need. Now, let me explain something. All of these are for low delay, every setting here. So copy these. These are the best settings for lowest delay in Fortnite. But for the better FPS, you need to put this on the AA mode, replay mode, all. And then down here, you have these little numbers, plus 0.1250. Now, this is where it's going to actually change your FPS. So the basic settings are plus 0.00. That is where you start. That's like the deadline. More normal performance mode is here, right? And then the higher up you go, the worse your graphics will look. 1,000 being the worst, and you'll get some pretty ugly potato graphics. And it's pretty much unplayable. Every hill looks like triangles. And I mean, if you have a really low end PC, I recommend doing that. But if you're like me and you have a mid end PC, you just want a little bit of FPS boost, I recommend 0.125 or 0.250. These are probably the best. I wouldn't really go past that, because anything past that's kind of ugly. It's a little unplayable, so I keep it right here. And these are the best settings. Now, it's a little worse than performance mode. I don't need to apply it. Well, I will anyways, but you click apply changes up here on the top right, and then it's set. You're good to go, right? And if you want to revert it back, there's just literally a revert button on here. You can easily do that. Just click revert, and the click of a button, everything's changed right back. But when you launch Fortnite, your graphics will look a little worse than performance mode, but it's still playable and still looks good. Now, that is the hard truth about NVIDIA. It does not help your FPS whatsoever, except for delay. It does very well with getting your delay as low as possible, and it's one of my favorite things to do for lower delay. Like, I notice the delay difference when these settings are changed off this. Like, I trust me, I will feel it if something has been changed, because every little setting there does help a lot with delay. So I highly recommend copying this. But another thing that I want to talk about is, my screen keeps going black because I'm loading Fortnite and tabbing out at the same time, but it's actually in the NVIDIA app. Since we're on the topic of NVIDIA, there's one thing in here that 100% needs to be done for better FPS, and that is updating your drivers. Yes, Fortnite does not run off GPU, but you still want the best drivers up to date always, so your computer is always running good. And then overclocking your GPU right here will help a lot with delay. And it might not help you too much with FPS. You might not even notice the difference. But delay wise, it will help a lot. So there'll be a little button right here. Actually, it's up here. This little green thing. You turn it on. It needs to do a little scan. Make sure you have everything closed while this is going on. This does take up to 30 minutes, so it's a little bit of time. Make sure you get some free time. Let it do its scan. It will overclock safely for you. Now, that is the easiest way to overclock your GPU, and you're good. Now, if you really want to see an FPS increase without downloading any apps or doing a bunch of different settings, you can actually enable something called XMP. Now, the way XMP works, it's actually your RAM basically being overclocked. When you overclock your RAM, it makes it run at its normal speed. So technically, it's not really an overclock. It's kind of just making your RAM run at what you paid for, which I think is a little bit of a scam that when you get it, it comes lower than what you paid for, quite literally. So a lot of people don't know that. So going into your settings and actually changing that is really, really useful. Somebody in my Discord actually not have it enabled, and they went from hard 120 FPS, sometimes hitting 200, to a stable 240, even hitting 360 if they needed to, right? So I mean, that's like how much it helps. Like, it's insane how much your RAM having XMP enabled actually helps, because Fortnite is 100% CPU and RAM based game, meaning it does not need your graphics card in order to run. Matter of fact, you could play Fortnite with no graphics card. You can have just a CPU, and it's one of like the only games that can actually do that, other than really lower end like old PC games. But that is how this works. But real quick to explain the Nvidia control panel is a thing from old games. Now, old games way back actually used Nvidia control panel, and back then, yes, it would change FPS with the better settings. But now everything kind of runs on its own little engines, different games, so Nvidia control panel is a little useless other than when it comes to delay. So if you see YouTube videos saying better FPS with NVIDIA control panel, it's all a lie, and it's just click farms. So I like to quickly talk about Gear Up Booster. Now, what Gear Up Booster does is essentially, well, it boosts your ping to be at the best performance. Now, I've talked about Gear Up Booster a lot, and they actually just recently became even better than before by adding a packet loss feature, meaning you won't get packet loss while using Gear Up Booster no matter what. It's probably one of the stronger packet loss features on any app I've seen, and that is 100% coming from me. I mean, I'm not paid to say absolutely any of this that I'm saying right now. Strictly, what I'm saying comes from me. I've used Gear Up Booster, I've used XLag. Those are the only two I've used, and I will be 1,000% honest with you. They work the exact same for me, but Gear Up Booster has been a lot more stable when it comes to keeping my ping stabilized and having less packet loss. While using Gear Up Booster on Central, I usually get around 5 ping in game, and then on NA East, I get roughly around 10 to 5 as well. But I also live in Florida, so I'm kind of in the middle there, but it does help a lot, and I get no packet loss ever. So if you'd like to try out Gear Up Booster absolutely for free, link is in the description. Let me know what you guys think of it, and let's continue with the video. So to sum up this whole video, to make this long story short, Nvidia does nothing for FPS. That is kind of what I tried to get over. So all these videos you see right here are just click farms. Now, I'm not going to say there's nothing, I'm just going to let you know there's nothing wrong with having a little bit of clickbait. But when you're flat out lying, make a video saying it will increase your FPS, I mean, that's when there's the problem. But having FPS and Nvidia on the same thumbnail, there's nothing wrong with that. That is just a little bit of clickbait, because you might talk about Nvidia, but you still do talk about things that help with FPS. But once again, to sum it all up, Nvidia does nothing for FPS. It is strictly a delay thing. The only thing you could do is Nvidia Profile Inspector, which technically I wouldn't even count as Nvidia settings because it changes Fortnite settings. It's just called Nvidia Profile Inspector, but it changes Fortnite graphics settings to make your game run at better FPS, because yes, that is kind of how that works. It's like going into your actual Fortnite settings and lowering your 3D resolution, but a little bit like, it's like 3D resolution on crack, It's just a little bit better, and you can even make your game look good still, right? So that is pretty much how NVIDIA works. Just delay. So if you see somebody saying changing NVIDIA settings are going to get better FPS, just note they're lying to you, unless it's NVIDIA control or NVIDIA Profile Inspector, sorry, and they're just doing a full Fortnite setting graphical change. That will help a lot. But other than that, that is it. So if this helped you out, make sure you like the video, subscribe, and check back for more videos. And if you have any questions or recommendations for video uploads, please let me know in the comment section, and I'll try to get every single one done. Anyways, I'll catch you guys in the next video.